Good evening and welcome to the second episode of the RS Media live podcast. Tonight I'm joined by none other Mike Arneman and none other Russ Vernon. So good evening, Mike. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Doing pretty well, actually. Just done one of my SFC interviews, the 34th one of them a little while ago, with former goalkeeper Mark Westhead, who used to play at Blackpool and Wickham as well. So rattling through those at the moment. But yeah, I'm doing well, mate. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. And good evening, Russ. How are you doing?
Good evening, Ray. Good evening, Mike. Hopefully, both doing well. I'm fine over here. I'm just been watching the football yesterday over the past few days with the Nations League, and I'm getting ready now for the start of the Premier League season as well. And looking forward to this podcast. Looking forward to the second week of this podcast. I enjoyed it last week, and I'm looking forward to it this week as well. How are you doing, Ray? You having a good week so far?
Yep, a good week.
Good stuff, mate.
So, the first thing we're going to talk about, we haven't got a screen for this because it doesn't happen that often, is the game between England and Denmark, which was yesterday, and the game between England and Iceland, which was on Saturday. And to bring you all that, Russ is going to do us a little segment on it.
Thank you, Ray. Yes, I watched both of these games, guys. If you watched it as well, let us know what you thought of this as well. But the first game, England won 1-0. Kyle Walker sent off two stupid bookings. First one I didn't think was a booking. Second one, it was a booking. All on a booking, stupid to make challenge like that. England then got a penalty. Raheem Sterling scored it. In that first minute, cool, calm and collected, straight down the middle. Then Iceland got a penalty and they missed it thanks to James Ward-Prowse, actually, because he scuffed the penalty spot just before the Icelandic player took his penalty, while the referee was talking to the Icelandic players and England players and Jordan Pickford as well, so behind the referee's back. And then Iceland missed it. On to yes, it was a fairly even game, that one, to be fair. Iceland behind the ball, England trying to break them down, couldn't really break them down. On to yesterday's game against Denmark, 0-0. England had the best chance towards the end when Harry Kane went through, rounded Kasper Schmeichel, shot towards goal, but Raheem Sterling didn't follow up. He should have followed up and because if he had followed up and slid in, he would have put the ball into the back of the net. But Zanke, the former Huddersfield man, managed to clear his lines and behind for corners. Denmark set up for a point. They had a few chances as well, thanks to Eric Dyer getting too close to former Tottenham man Christian Eriksen, now at Inter, and they managed to turn and fire over the bar. Calvin Phillips made his England debut for 76 minutes and had a fantastic game going to the game as it went on in the second half. I thought he should have been substituted in that game. I felt like he'd never been away. Felt like he played for England for quite a while. Declan Rice and Eric Dyer on the other hand was very, very poor last night. And pardon the pun here, Dyer was absolutely dire last night. Couldn't pass the ball straight, and every time Phillips was in space, we're passing it beyond him straight to either our wide to the left where we kept losing it, or beyond him straight to a Denmark player. He played him in space, could have played it out wide, and once we played it out wide through the midfield, that's where we hurt Denmark quite a bit yesterday. But straight balls over the top or straight out wide from defence, they dealt with him quite comfortably. But once we played them out wide, did well and could have won that. I would say yes, this was a fair result. And overall on Saturdays, I think that was a fair result as well. So back over to Rai to continue with the show. Rai, over to you, my friend.
So, if anyone has any thoughts on either of them games, you can drop them in the comments that are live. We can also read them out for you if you send them to me privately on RS Media's Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. We are also live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So the first thing we're going to review after the England setup is the Carabao Cup games from last weekend. So we start with Friday, September the 4th. We'll have the Carabao Cup logo coming up. So that comes up for 5 minutes. 5 seconds, sorry. First game that we will talk about was the first game of the Carabao Cup first round, and that was Middlesbrough 4, Shrewsbury 3. I actually got to watch this game live streamed from Borough TV, thanks to Mike, who kindly donated the money to pay for this. So I got to watch it, and when Borough went in, conceded after 13 minutes with High. It was Scott High who scored after 13 minutes. I thought we were in for a battering, but then Marvin Johnson, or aka Harry Burgoyne, own goal, depending on who you're looking at, had a scuff shot, keeper spilt it, Harry Burgoyne put it into his own net to make it 1-1. And then Ashley Fletcher scored a close range tap in, good run, and he played really well, I thought. So he scored again after 31 minutes. And then on the 53rd minute, just after the break, Borough went 3-1 up. So to go into the break 2-1 up and then go and win 3-1, go and get a third, I was like, oh, this is quite comfortable now. Maybe we can sit back a bit. Nope. Jason Cummins came up in the 60th minute to score, and he took it really well. And then I was like, oh, is this going to be it? But the goal that Ashley Fletcher scored in the 53rd minute, it was close to being offside. Harry Burgoyne was asking for it to be offside because Lewis Wing had a shot from distance. It cannoned back off the post, and Ashley Fletcher flung the ball down into his into the ground, and it went over Burgoyne. And then Jason Cummins scored the 60th minute. Then Marcus Tavernier restored the 2-goal advantage with a good goal. And then Real Pike, his last touch of the game before he got substituted, he scored a good goal, and I thought Shrewsbury were going to get back in this. And unfortunately they didn't, but they have got a good side. So I'm going to go over to Mike and ask him what he thought of this.
So I thought it was a good game. I didn't see it myself. I've seen highlights of it since, but I think when Shrewsbury went 1-0 up, of course, I know you were a little bit nervy in that aspect, and I think you were saying that you think Shrewsbury could have gone on and maybe got another goal or two, and maybe gone 2-0 up or whatever. And then, of course, Middlesbrough went 3-1 up. With those 2 goals in the first half, going in 2-1 at the break, and then getting the one just about 7 or 8 minutes after half time as well to make it 3-1. And of course, I'm sure when it went back to 3-2 and even to 4-3 as well, you were a little bit nervy there in that aspect. And I've seen some of the goals. I thought some of the goals were quite good actually. I think it was the Shrewsbury first goal by High. I thought that was a nice finish. And even I think it was Tavernier's goal was pretty decent as well, if I remember rightly. For Middlesbrough, I think one of Fletcher's as well was one that I liked. But yeah, it was not a convincing win, and of course Middlesbrough still got a little bit to adapt to there defensively. But overall, it's early days of the season, and I'm sure they're just glad to be in the hat for the next round.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy about it as well because one, our defence wasn't the strongest. We did have two players out on international duty in George Saville and Paddy McNair. So I was a bit shaky, but I mean, I managed to predict the team. I got one member of the team out, and I didn't think he was going to be involved at all, but he was. And hopefully they can bring some more players in. So, Russ, what was your thoughts on this game?
Right, to be honest, I thought once I saw that Shrewsbury had gone 1-0 up, a bit like Mike, I thought Shrewsbury might have gone on to get to maybe 3 goals, especially we either played last season in cup competitions against Liverpool and to them to replay at Anfield. I thought they might have gone on to try and cause another shock here and knock out a championship side, but it wasn't to be. The put up a great fight though, and I just want to say thanks for sending me some of the goals across right after the game had finished, and then saw the rest of it on the Sky Sports app and on Quest's highlights. And I thought it was a fantastic game, good goals from both sides. The second one from Ashley Fletcher, that you mentioned, I thought he was going to be offside, the one in the 53rd minute. I thought he was going to be flagged for offside, but obviously he didn't come, and Steve and Middlesbrough managed to hold on for the last few minutes. I thought Shrewsbury could have maybe got a draw to take it to penalties, but overall I think Warnock would be happy with the team's performance, but not happy with conceding the way he did, and he must have got into him in the half time to fire him up for the second half, which obviously he did for him to come out and firing, get another 2 goals, despite Shrewsbury also getting another 2 goals in the second half. But I think one could be happy going and those defensive errors and defensive mistakes that were played or showed throughout the game, maybe he can work on that prior to the Watford game on Friday, and hopefully get them out of the system so they don't make the same mistakes in the league opener.
Well, and another stat here is it was Borough's first victory of the 2020 year. It was the first win since Boxing Day as well, so which is quite a while, especially nine months after playing games. You didn't win at home, but you were winning away from home. The next game that we'll talk about is the second game that was on Friday. It was the Burton Albion 1, Accrington Stanley 1. I didn't see much of this as I was preparing for my great uncle's birthday, but I did see that it finished 1-1 with Burton scoring after 32 minutes with Lucas Akins, and then Accrington scored with Cameron Burgess in the 82nd minute, and then Burton were. Hang on, let me just make sure I get this right.
Yeah, Burton I just got that in front of me as well. They won 4-2 on penalties.
So Burton won 4-2 on penalties. So, what's your thoughts on this, Russ?
Excuse me, sorry about that. Just with the technical glitch, press the my button twice, same mute me. But as I was going to say, I thought for the highlights I saw, Burton played well. Accrington did well to get back into it towards the end to take it to penalties. And I thought Burton overall showed the more determination and more quality to actually win. Looking at the stats from this game, they had 18 shots compared to Accrington's 7, with 3 of those on target, and Accrington only having 1. And then more possession as well, with 52 compared to 48% possession. Burton at home under new manager, who his managerial debut seems to have got everything ticking for him already. Players seem to know what they're doing. They defended really, really well, and were very harsh to concede late on. We had minutes to go, but I think Accrington were very unlucky on the penalties. Penalties are a lottery. Anyone can win a penalty shootout, as he proved in the Community Shield as well. But all I'm going to say is I thought Burton, from the highlights and from what I've listened to people who actually saw the game, I thought Burton did actually deserve to win it overall. And so congratulations to them, and congratulations to Jay Buxton on his first win in on his managerial debut as well.
Yep. And over to you, Mike.
Yeah, so I think it was quite an even game, actually. I only saw the highlights as well, because Friday, of course, being my birthday, I was out for the night and didn't see any of the games live that day. But I thought it was a pretty even game, really, in terms of chances created. And yeah, of course, Burton won it on penalties in the end with the lottery there. And of course, it's always good to see Lucas Akins pop up with a goal as well, former Stevenage man. And he didn't really have the greatest of times when he was playing down here in the red and white of the borough down at the Lamex, and to go on and do what he's done at Burton is fantastic, really. And just want to wish him all the best. And it's a good result for Burton to get the penalties there, and come out on top in the end. But no, I think overall it was a fairly even game, and it could have gone either way. Yeah.
So we'll move on to Saturday, which is Saturday, September the 5th. We've got Derby 0, Barrow 0. Derby winning 3-2 on penalties. Plymouth 3, QPR 2. Crawley 1, Millwall 3. Gillingham 1, Southend 0. Bristol City 2, Exeter 0. Walsall 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Sheffield Wednesday winning 4-2 on penalties. Barnsley 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Birmingham 0, Cambridge 1.
Yeah, just briefly, I just wanted to say there as well. We actually, on last week's podcast, touched on what potential upsets there could have been. And one of the ones I threw out there was Cambridge getting a victory at Birmingham. So I'm sure we'll touch on that shortly. But sorry to interrupt there, Ryan. I just wanted to mention that briefly.
Yep, Bolton 1, Bradford 2. Crewe 1, Lincoln 2. Fleet 1, 3, Wigan 2. Forest Green Rovers 1, Leyton Orient 2. Grimsby 1, Morecambe 1. Morecambe winning 4-3 on penalties. Ipswich 3, Bristol Rovers 0. Luton 3, Norwich City 1. Milton Keynes Dons 0, Coventry 1. Newport 2, Swansea 0. Northampton 3, Cardiff 0. Oldham 3, Carlisle 0. Oxford United 1, Wimbledon 1, with Oxford United winning 4-3 on penalties. Peterborough 0, Cheltenham 1. Reading 3, Colchester United 1. Huddersfield 0, Rochdale 1. Salford City 1, Rotherham United 1. Salford City winning 4-2 on penalties. Scunthorpe 1, Port Vale 2. Sunderland 0, Hull City 0. Hull City winning 5-4 on penalties. Swindon 1, Charlton 3. And you got Tranmere Rovers 1, Harrogate Town won, and Harrogate Town winning 8-7 on pens. So, the first thing we'll talk about Derby 0, Barrow 0. For me, I didn't get to see this game due to having a party for my great uncle's 70th birthday. I was pretty shocked when I saw this result as 0-0, but Derby to win 3-2 on pens. So, what's your thoughts on this, Mike?
Yeah, I think Barrow done well to, come out of the 90 minutes with a 0-0 there. And of course, that's where Stevenage go to for the first league game on Saturday, which we'll touch on when we get to League Two a little bit later as well. But I think, they've got a decent back line now. They've got quite a solid defence, quite a good attacking way of playing football as well. And of course, they're a little bit unfortunate to lose out in the lottery of penalties in the end because, they gave Derby a good game actually there. And, they were definitely unfortunate to be on the losing end.
And over to you, Russ.
Well, I saw this game obviously because it was on Sky last Saturday, and Barrow very unlucky not to win it in normal time. They had a chance. I'm not sure it was got played through. Only the keeper to be tried chipping him, and it went over the bar and just wide of the post as well towards the end. So I thought they were very unlucky not to go through in normal time. And then, as I mentioned previously, penalties are a lottery, and anyone can win on that day. And unfortunately for Barrow, their spot kicks weren't up to scratch, and Derby went through. And good luck to Derby in the next round, and good luck to them in the upcoming season. I know my team had a bit of issue with them in the past due to Frank Lampard and that in the playoffs not last season before. But I've got a couple of mates who are Derby fans and wish them all the best this season, and I thought they were very fortunate to win that one there. I thought Barrow deserved to win it overall. What about you, Rawat? Did you think Barrow deserved to win it from the highlights you saw?
I've not watched any of the game, so I couldn't comment on this. So we'll move on to Plymouth Argyle 3, QPR 2. And I did get to see this. Mike kindly paid for this again. Very good lad. Glad that he did this. With Argyle going down 1-0 after 67 seconds through Ryan Manning, and then Argyle pegged it back in the 32nd minute with Joe Edwards, who was playing at right wing back for Argyle. Then Danny Mayer, who plays on the left side of the centre mids in a 3-5-2 formation, cut in on his right foot and scored. And within a couple minutes, QPR managed to bring it back level with a goal from their right back, which is Osman Kai. And then in the 78th minute, Frank Noble, who was sent in the box from a Conor Grant cross, sent Frank Noble, and he beat Joe Lumley quite comfortably. Joe Lumley couldn't save it and went on to win 3-2. So I was really proud of the boys. It was just very cagey at first when you lose a goal after 67 seconds. But we fought back, did well, and we managed to get a victory which against a higher opposition team, which is good, especially when we got Leyton Orient in the second round of the Carabao Cup, which is good. And then we've got Tottenham, if whoever wins between Argo and Leyton Orient, which is confirmed to be next Tuesday at 7:45. So over to Russ on this first.
To be honest, right, I didn't really see much of this game, obviously, because I didn't have the privilege to watch it. But from the highlights I saw, I thought QPR were very unlucky. They're more, I think, from the highlights, they had more possession, more shots on target, and so they deserve to go through, I think. But credit to Plymouth and Ryan Lowe, got his team selection spot on, and Frank Nouble took his goal well to win it for Argyle. And because for me, I think if it weren't for Nouble's goal, obviously it would have gone to penalties. But I think Argyle could have easily lost after that. I thought could have easily gone to penalties. And it's good to see Elias Chair get an assist as well for Ryan Manning's goal. He set up his goal way across as well. That was a good cross from Elias Chair and a good header from Manning. You know Manning well from his time when he was on loan at Rotherham. Very good player. And I think he will work well for QPR and seems to be fitting in quite well there so far. So hopefully that can continue for him. But good luck to Argyle for the season, especially with Scott Wootton, the ex-Leeds man, in there as well. Argyle at the moment as well. And Kellen Watts on loan from Newcastle. Be interested to see how he does for the season. I see him getting majority of minutes. So good luck to Argyle and good luck to QPR. But I think QPR from Warsaw deserve to take it to at least penalties, and then anything can happen in a penalty shootout.
And over to you, Mike.
Yeah, so this is a great result for Plymouth in my eyes. I think, to beat QPR, a team that are in the league above you, is a great result anyway. But to do it from going 1-0 down that early is a really, shows the character of the Plymouth boys there. To get the equaliser, to go in level at the break, and then to go 2-1 up, and then to concede again as well, and then to have the the opportunity there to make it 3-2 through Nouble there as well. It's an excellent win for Plymouth. I didn't really see too much of the game myself, but as I said, that's a real solid performance from Plymouth there, and I'm sure they would be very, very pleased with that victory. To do it against QPR when you're doing it against a team from a higher division is excellent, as I said anyway. But to do it from going 1-0 down that early on, and having your backs against the wall that early on and still coming out on top is a big achievement for Plymouth. So hopefully they can go on and beat Leyton Orient and then get the dream tie against Spurs.
Yeah, hopefully that does happen. We'll all know about that in next week's podcast, how Plymouth got on against Leyton Orient. We will have score updates as well, because there is games in the Carabao Cup next Wednesday as well. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Barnsley 1, Nottingham Forest 0. I thought this is a big shock for Forest, especially after missing out on the playoffs and losing 1-0 to Corley Woodrow's goal after 49 minutes, especially from a team that got relegated to Sky Bet League One. So what do you think of this, Mike?
Just briefly, actually, before we touch on that, I'm just looking here that the Walsall and Sheffield Wednesday game was 0-0, and Sheffield Wednesday won it 4-2, but after extra time. I don't think they were playing extra time in that competition now.
Yeah.
A bit of a strange one there.
I think that's a glitch, and I think I think it went for a penalty shootout straight away.
But in regards to what we were actually going to talk about, the Barnsley and Forest game, that's a great result for Barnsley. Really, good performance from them. Woodrow's an excellent player as well, and I think he'll be up there with one of the higher goal scorers in that division. But no, for me, this isn't the biggest upset at all. There's a lot bigger upsets than this, and I'm sure the next game we'll get onto is one of my big upsets for the whole competition so far.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on this, Russ?
Just to point out, right, Barnsley didn't get relegated last season. They stayed up in the Championship on the final day of the season. You mentioned that they got relegated, but they did stay up. Gerald Struber kept them up. But for this performance, from what I listened to on the radio for the game with the updates coming through on the game from local radio, Barnsley deserved it. Forest didn't really threaten much in this game, but Barnsley created a lot more chances and a lot more possession. And a player of Cauley Woodrow's stature, you can't give him that bit of space and that much time for him to score like he did. And it was a fantastic goal from him, as well as being impressive towards the end of last season, and he's sort of where he left off as well. And so I think they played very, very well in that game, Barnsley. And I think from what I heard and from the highlights I saw, I think they deserve to win it as well.
Yeah. So move on to the next big shock that happened in the Carabao Cup, which was Birmingham City 0, Cambridge United 1. Mike's just pointed this out. I mean, I knew it was a shock because Cambridge United are in League 2, Birmingham City in the Championship, and Cambridge scored after 18 minutes through a goal from their centre-back, Robbie Cundy. So, what do you think of this, Russ?
I don't really have much to say about this, to be honest. Right? I didn't really see much of the highlights or anything about this, so I can't really comment on this. But I think, like I say, it's a shock. I expected Birmingham to win this game, but Cambridge proved me wrong. And I saw the goal, and it was a well-taken goal. But that's all I'll say. But I didn't really see much of this or much of the highlights, so I can't really comment on this game. Sorry, lads.
Yep. So, Mike.
Yeah, so it was a very well taken goal actually from Cundy. It was an excellent defensive performance from Cambridge United as well, going to Birmingham, who are 2 leagues above them, and coming away with a surprising 1-0 victory there. This is the same Cambridge United that got beat 4-0 by Stevenage last season, bearing in mind that Stevenage only got 3 wins, and that was one of them. And of course, they've strengthened pretty well. They've got Paul Digby, and a former Stevenage player, in the ranks over there at Cambridge now as well. And of course, he played a part in that game. And it was a good result for Cambridge, really good result for Cambridge, actually. And a big shock, big surprise. And it's, we spoke about it last week. There was going through potential shocks, and I don't think anyone really picked that one out. I mentioned it because I was looking at it and I was like, well, Cambridge have strengthened fairly well. Birmingham are a little bit of a hit and miss side sometimes. So, it's a competition, a cup competition where anything can happen as well. And they were solid defensively, got the goal that they needed to hang on to, and they've done that really, really well.
Yeah, it was a great performance from Cambridge there. So we'll go on to another shock that I think as well is Luton Town 3, Norwich 1. I mean, Luton have James Collins scoring after 79 from the penalty spot, 83rd minute, and then the 90 plus 5th minute. But they Norwich did get one back through Kieran Dow on 81 minutes. And I think this is a brilliant game for James Collins, who, I mean, Luton stayed up last season. They've done well, and they brought back Nathan Jones before the start of the resumption of last season. But I think he's got him playing. So what do you think of this, Mike?
Yeah, that's an excellent performance from Luton. Really great performance from James Collins as well. Excellent striker. And of course, to get a hat-trick there. Luton, of course, as you mentioned, stayed up at the end of last season. Norwich was it last season they were relegated from the Premier League? I am correct in saying that, aren't I? Yeah, it was last season they were relegated. So I think it's two teams that were competing at completely different leagues last season, and Luton done really well there to get that victory, and I'm sure they'll go on and progress as well, and do well this season. That is actually, they've actually played Norwich in the past as well. They beat them in the FA Cup back in, I think it was 2013, 2014, something like that. So there is a little bit of past history there, but that's a great performance from Luton, and I'm not too sure who they've got in the next round. But if you go into Kenilworth Road as an away team, it's always a tricky place to go to.
Yeah, and over to you, Russ.
Yes, as I said, I don't really have much to say about this because I didn't really see much of the highlights. Because they didn't really show much of the highlights of this on Quest or on Sky. They just showed mainly the goals. I thought the goals was well taken by James Collins. I thought it was a definite penalty as well. Kieran Dowell took his goal well for Norwich, but last season when Luton was in the Championship and managed to stay up, came to Ellen Road when we were back on the after the project restart, causes a few problems. That did Luton and got a point when when Leeds really should have won that game. So they are a decent side, and Norwich found that out and found out that there are no pushovers, and there'll be no pushovers when the league campaign starts and when they meet in the league in a few. I'm not sure if it's early part of this season or in a few months down the line, but there will be definitely no pushovers this season rooting for any championship side this season. And why you must know about that from when they played against Middlesbrough last season, fighting to stay up. They played some good football last season, Luton, and I reckon they'll play some decent again this season under Nathan Jones. He's a very good manager for them. And I didn't think it worked out for him at Stoke with Jones, but he seems to do at Luton, be like Eddie Howe and Bournemouth seem to work there, but not barely for Eddie Howe for whatever reason.
Yeah. So we'll move on to Newport 2, Swansea 0. So Newport scored after 7 minutes and after 45 minutes from Tristan Abrahams. I didn't get to see much of the highlights on this, but from what I am gathering is that Newport actually were the better side. 12 shots, 5 on target to Swansea's 10 and 1 on target. So I think this is a great result for Newport. So what do you think of this, Russ?
To be honest, out of the games we've mentioned, I'd say this is the biggest shock for me because Newport last season we know what they could do when they played against Leicester and Leeds a few seasons ago in the FA Cup against teams higher up than them in the division, but Newport we always Derby with our form normally was out to win against, especially against teams in higher opposition. We being a Derby, we're like a Welsh Derby, and both Tristan Abrahams took his goals well. The appeal for one of the goals to be offside, nowhere near offside. So I think Newport deserve to win that. Swansea have a lot of work to do if they are to get positive results from this season. after that performance, but I think Steve Cook will have worked on that throughout the training ahead of this weekend's game, and will hopefully learn to put that right this weekend.
Yeah. And what do you think of this, Mike?
Yeah, so Newport love a cup shot, don't they? Leeds, Leicester, they went 1-0 if I remember rightly against Spurs as well. Yes, they love a cup upset, and they done well in this game against a decent Swansea side as well. Abraham's there getting 2 goals and getting himself off the mark early on as well, which is always great for a player to do. And I think this is it's a good foundation for Newport there, and as I said, they love a cup run, so I'm sure they'll probably go on and knock out bigger teams than Swansea along the way, either in this or the FA Cup this season, or maybe both.
Yeah. The next one we're going to talk about is the Salford City 1, Rotherham 1, and Salford City winning 4-2 on penalties. I know Russ is going to have quite a bit to talk about this, being Rotherham being his hometown team. So I'm going to go to Mike first on this.
Okay, so I think that was a fairly decent game actually as well. Pretty even. Salford going 1-0 up with a penalty in the 84th minute through Henderson, and then Rotherham getting into getting the equaliser, I should say, after 95 as well. When Salford looked like they were on the verge of holding on for the win, and then Salford winning on penalties by 4-2. So it's a strange game, football. Of course, you think if Rotherham get the equaliser there, the momentum will probably be with Rotherham. But penalties is a lottery, as we say, and the momentum kind of counted for nothing there, and it's a good result for Salford. I think they're they've strengthened pretty well this season as well. They'll be up there, probably challenging for the playoffs in League Two, in my opinion. And as I said, it's a bit unfortunate in Rotherham's capacity there. Well, Rotherham's kind of way of dealing with things there, because they obviously equalised and then weren't able to use that to their advantage. And Salford got the job done in the end, although they could have done it in normal time.
Yeah, so over to Russ on this.
Yes, and from what I listened to on local radio and from people I've spoken to who's actually had this game, Rotherham were dominant throughout. Jamal Blackman hardly had anything to do, hardly had any shots to save. The keeper, Adley, should I say, kept Salford in this game. The first real thing Blackman had to do, he came out, looked like he got a hand to the ball. Elliott went down in the box. Referee didn't think he got a hand to the ball and pointed to the spot and gave a penalty to Salford. That was Blackman's first real involvement in the game. Salford then took it away through Ian Henderson, despite Blackman going the right way. Then Matt Crooks heading later on for the Millers, who could have been out of sight in this one, but couldn't. And then in the penalties, Salford scored all their penalties in the shootout. Rotherham missed through Kyle Vassell, and then they scored through the Dapper. Sadly, scored for the Millers as well. Joe Mattock missed his penalty, so that's when Rotherham went out. But Salford will be happy with this. Rotherham, well, they thought they were the better side, and from what I can see and from what I spoke to, they were the better side on the night. But as I said, penalties are a lottery, and good luck to Salford in the next round. And hopefully they could, and good luck to the Millers this season. Hopefully they have a good season. And I just want to say well done to Rotherham United midfielder Matt Crooks. He's wearing the number 25 shirt this season in memory of his best mate Jordan Sinnott, who was stabbed to death beginning of this year. So very well done to him, and hopefully he'll be proud of you scoring another weekend back. Keep it going, my friend. And good luck to the Millers this season.
We've got a latest score, which is half-time in the Salford City versus Man U under 23s in the Leasing.com trophy game. It's currently 2-0 to Man U through goals from Hannibal Mejbri after 6 minutes and Arno Pugmal Martinez after 29 minutes. Sorry, it was after 8 minutes, the Hannibal Mejbri goal. So that's the latest in that game. Moving back to Saturday's Carabao Cup games, and the last one we'll talk about of the Saturday games is the Tranmere 1, Harrogate Town 1, with Harrogate winning 8-7 on penalties. Tranmere scoring after 64 minutes through James Vaughan, and then Harrogate Town scoring after 69 minutes through Lloyd Kerry. So I think this is a great result for Harrogate, especially the first season in the Football League, and to beat off Tranmere as well, who got relegated last season as well. So I think it's a great performance. So well done to Harrogate there. So what do you think about this, Russ?
Harrogate did well in this competition on the debut. I thought they could have won it in normal time. They had the chances to win it in normal time, but they had experience on penalties in some of the games last season, in either the cup games or the league or playoff games in to go to Wembley. But so they already had experience of penalty shootout, so they did well there. And looking forward to see how they're doing in the Football League as well, with the first time in the Football League in their history. So we should see how they're doing. Hopefully they can knock out West Brom in the next round next week on TV, which I think is next Tuesday or next Wednesday on TV. I think it might be next Tuesday. So hopefully that'll go well for him, and hopefully can do very, very well in that competition and do well in the league as well. And good luck to them this season, especially having had a ex-Leeds player in the team in Josh Falkingham. So good luck to Harrogate this season.
Yep. And now we'll move on to the only game in the Carabao Cup on Sunday, the September the 6th. It was Brentford 1, Wycombe 1. Brentford winning 4-2 on penalties. I've not actually come to Mike on the Harrogate game. I've just realised.
I was just going to say I didn't want to talk about that one, right? I didn't have an opinion on that.
So we'll come back to you there, Mike.
That's all right. I was just going to echo pretty much what Russ said. There's a good victory for Harrogate there on their debut in the competition. We might as well just leave it at that, to be honest. I think they've done well to get back into the game from going 1-0 down and winning it on penalties. So, of course, I don't really know too much about Harrogate as a club, but I'll find out when they play Stevenage later on this season. So I'm sure I'll know a bit more about them come the end of this coming year. But yeah, it was a good victory for them anyway, nonetheless.
Now we'll go back to Brentford versus Wycombe, which the goals were scored by Pinnock after 32 minutes. That is Ethan Pinnock. And then Dominic Gape got sent off after 48 minutes with a straight red. And then you've got Daryl Hogan, who scored for Wycombe to take it to penalties. And then Brentford won 4-2 on penalties. So what's your thoughts on this, Mike?
So obviously Brentford lost out in the playoffs last season as well. Wycombe won their promotion final as well. They won the final there. So it's actually an all championship game, wasn't it, that one? I think they're both championship for the coming season. And it was quite an even game, actually, if I remember rightly from the highlights I saw. And we keep saying that penalties is a lottery, but it is at the end of the day. And I think there's plenty of positive for both managers to take there. Early points of the season, and of course Wycombe doing it with 10 men as well. They managed to get back into the game. And, Dominic Gate was the man that got sent off when they were 1-0 down, and they still managed to get an equaliser and then lose the penalty shootout. But they've done well to get back into the game. And to actually, draw that game there. And yeah, they were unfortunate. They could have probably won it, I think, in my opinion, as well, Wycombe. But yes, two decent sides, really. And congratulations to Brentford. And I'm sure they'll be up there challenging again in the league capacity this year.
Yeah. As I've just said, it was quite coincidental that all three games that were on Sky all went to a penalty shootout, which is not very often that you see that happening. So we'll now move on to leasing.com trophy.
Does Russ not want to talk about that game either, does he know?
So we'll move over to Russ and talk about Wycombe versus Brentford.
It's okay, right? I don't really want to talk about it. It's okay, right? Forget about me, forget about Mike. How dare you, my friend? But anyway, I watched this game and I thought it was a very good game. Ethan Pinnock with a good goal. And then it was Ethan Pinnock's mistake which led to Wycombe equalising in this. And Wycombe, like Mike said, I thought they deserved to go on to win this game in normal time. Gape will be a big miss for them the next 3 games coming up, including the game against Rotherham in the opening game of the season. But I think they deserve to win it in normal time. Brentford's new stadium, I must say, looks absolutely fantastic. And so I think, like Mike says, they'll have a gaping hole in that midfield now with Gape suspended. Coming out with the dad jokes there, but I had to read it out of there for you guys. But yes, I think it's a fantastic performance from Wycombe, and I think they'll do very well in the Championship this season. And I think Gape, like I said, will be a big miss this weekend and the next couple of games after as well.
Yeah, that was.
I think it's only one game. I think it's he got 2 yellows. I think he's only out for the one game.
He actually got a straight red. So we'll go into the leasing.com trophy now, and I'm asking Mike to talk us through some of the games that happened on Tuesday.
I've got to get those up in front of me. I didn't expect to be called up this early. I've got the Premier League and the League 2 ones up in front. So bear with me while I get the leasing results up. Because let's have a look. So it's the EFL trophy, isn't it? Here we go.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. So what we're going to do, we're going to do from Tuesday, the 8th of September. We've got any more from before that? Because I've got all the ones from the 8th on here.
Yep. Just from Tuesday, September the 8th.
All right, I've got all them there. So we'll start off with just running through the scores, and then we'll have a look at some of these in a little bit more detail. So it was Exeter City 3, Forest Green Rovers 2, Gillingham 2, Crawley Town 1, Hull City 1, Leicester City under 21s 2, Southend United 1, West Ham under 21s 3, Mansfield Town 0, Man City under 21s 3, Accrington Stanley 7, Leeds is under 21s, actually the under 18s, as Russ pointed out, 0. Blackburn 0, Blackpool 0, Barrow 0. Bolton 2, Crewe 3, Leyton Orient 3, Brighton and Hove Albion under 21s 2. Lincoln 1, Scunthorpe 1, with Lincoln winning 4 goals to 2 on penalties. MK Dons beat Northampton by 3 goals to 1. Newport County lost at home 1-0 to Cheltenham. Oxford United 2, Chelsea under 21s 1. Peterborough 3, Burton Albion 3. Peterborough winning 5-4 on penalties. Port Vale 0, Tranmere 0. Port Vale winning 4-3 on penalties. Portsmouth 2, Colchester 0. Sunderland 8, Aston Villa under 21s 1. Swindon Town 2, West Brom under 21s 3. Cambridge United 2, Fulham under 21s 0. Doncaster 0, Bradford City 0. Doncaster won 4-1 on penalties. Bristol Rovers 2, Walsall 2, Walsall won 4-2 on penalties there. Grimsby and Harrogate played out a 2-2 draw, with Grimsby Town winning 5-4 on penalties. Ipswich Town 1, Arsenal under-21s 2. Morecambe 1, Rochdale 2. And Plymouth 2, Norwich City under-21s 3. So let's have a little look at some of these. Let's start off with this one, actually. In fact, we'll start off with Accrington 7-0 victory over Leeds' under-21s or under-18s there. And we'll come to Russ on that. First of all, the fact that he's a Leeds fan. What are your opinions on Leeds, under-18s there getting trounced by Accrington Stanley?
Well, from what I was listening to the game yesterday, obviously, as I was watching England game, live commentary was on my LUTV, Leeds United's TV, and listening to him there with former Leeds man Ben Parker and normal under 23s commentator and 21s commentator Tom Hill, and they said for the first half it was men against boys, literally men versus boys, with the only outfield player who was playing one of the main ages was 17. That was the oldest one out there. We had a 15-year-old on the bench as well. We had a goalkeeping injury very early on as well. So I had to make a few changes very early on due to injury or tactical. But second half, played really, really well. Only conceded 2 goals in the second half. Could have had a few goals second half as well, from the sounds of what they were both saying. But I think we'll give them well good going into the games, because we're playing. So his academy now was gone up to a category 1 status in, so playing Premier League 2 football for the under-23s in Premier League under-18 games, so playing against like Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, and the under-18s and under-23s as well this season, so go for that as well. And if anyone was wondering why we didn't play as under-21s, it's due to the COVID-19 bubble and that we're training in the training ground and everything like that. They won't be able to train again until they got tested, like today. And they're supposed to be playing a game against the practice game, made ball session with the first team this afternoon at Thorpe Orchard, of an evening session this evening, which the first team are currently doing right now. But I think learning curve for him, they'll know what they need to do. Mo Jackson, you could hear him on the sidelines yesterday barking instructions and getting praised in second half, especially. I've seen a little bit of an interview with John Coleman. He was very impressive with the response to Leeds United in this one as well.
All right, so that was that game there between Accrington and Leeds. Did you want to touch on that one, Ray? Have you got any opinions on that?
Not really. I didn't know much about it.
Okay, that's fine. We'll move on then. We'll do what we're going to talk about next in regards to these games here. Let's talk about the young boy who scored for Grimsby, the 15-year-old. We'll come to you, Ryan, on that first of all. Of course, let's have a look. Who were Grimsby playing? They were playing Harrogate Town, and they won 5-4 on penalties after drawing 2-2. What was your thoughts on that? And of course, it's great for this young lad to get a goal as well.
Yeah, a 15-year-old schoolboy who was on the bench for Grimsby, getting the equaliser. Brilliant. It's great for the young lad, and hopefully that progresses his career, because that's going to be some talking point in most people's podcasts about a 15-year-old scoring on their debut for a professional club.
Yeah, I was just reading the article as well on the Grimsby Telegraph. There's a picture of him. It's Louis Boyd, the guy that scored the goal there. And he was back at Heerling School today after becoming Grimsby Town's youngest ever goal scorer. And you can see him there. He was all suited and booted, and I think he's in school uniform there. And then he's put that next to the picture of him scoring the goal. And it's great for the young guy to get that goal as well, and hopefully he can kick on from that. You got any opinions in regards to that Louis Boyd's goal, Russ?
I seen it earlier today, Mike, and I thought it was a fantastic goal from Louis Boyd. He took it very, very well. Did well to get past. I think it was a couple of defenders en route to putting it in. And after he scored, everyone was jumping on him, giving him massive hugs. Not doing this social distancing, especially because his first senior goal, first professional goal at the age of 15, and then all hugging him and everything. And it's fantastic to see a young lad just at the age of 15, not even out of secondary school yet, getting his first senior goal for Grimsby. Any club, really, to be fair.
Yeah, that was excellent for him as well. I'm sure he had a lot of things to say with his mates and stuff about that as well. Let's have a look. What other games are there? Should we have a little talk about this one here between Sunderland and Aston Villa as well? Sunderland won 8-1 against the Aston Villa under-21s there. What are your thoughts on that one? We'll come to you first, Russ, on the Sunderland victory.
Well, fantastic victory for Sunderland. Gained much in confidence going into the game this weekend into the league. But it looks like the performance and the team, it was a very young side from Aston Villa. And one of the players who played in that game for Aston Villa played in a friendly against Arsenal a few weeks ago. I think it either been last weekend or weekend before, when Aston Villa played Arsenal and won in a friendly at the Emirates. But in that game, they got battered, and I think they'll only learn from that moving on for this season. And the player I'm referring to, Mike, who scored twice against Arsenal in that game, is that Jacob Ramsey. He got booked in the 13th minute, so he won't have been happy with getting a card in that game. It must have been all the scoreline, but he must have been proud to play against some of the senior professionals at Sunderland and test himself at that level, having tested himself against players like Arsenal, who played in that game as well, like Speos and Ozil, getting a chance to test himself against other players as well, in case Villa decided to loan him out down to that level.
Yeah, that was actually, he done well in that game against Arsenal. We got 2 goals, and he was up against Ozil and Ceballos and Aubameyang and some other guys there in that team as well, and done well for Villa on that day. But of course, yesterday he was on the losing end there in that 8-1 against Sunderland. So, what are your thoughts on that one, Ryan?
Yeah, Remy Matthews making his debut for Sunderland after his move from Bolton to Sunderland. And what a game to make your debut for Sunderland. Didn't really have much to do apart from they conceded a penalty, which Aston Villa scored from, but overall 7 shots, 1 on target. I think Remy Matthews must have had a quiet evening.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about one more game in regards to the Leeson Trophy there. We've got Sean with us as well. Hopefully you're doing all right, Sean. Did you see or read much about the Arsenal game yesterday? The under-21s getting the victory at Ipswich.
Yeah, I've heard about. Is it Bogan who scored he scored the winner? So
yeah,
it's a good victory for the under-21s.
And George Lewis as well. George Lewis scored on his under-21 debut.
Yeah, I don't follow the under-21s as much as I do as the first team and the women's team, to be honest. So I didn't see the game. So
all right. So actually, I didn't really see much of the game, but it's good for Arsenal to get that one as well. Good Ipswich side as well, and George Lewis and Balogun getting the 2 Arsenal goals there. So that was. We'll probably wrap it up there in regards to the Leeson Trophy. So we're going to hand back to you, Ryan. We're going to. Do you want to cover some of the Championship or League One games or anything like that, or shall I jump straight into the fixtures for the Premier League?
We'll go from League 2.
Yeah, but I'm on League 2 anyway as well, so that's fine. I'll just switch between to this page. Yeah.
We're going to go from League 2 all the way to the Premier League. So we'll start with Sky Bet League 2. Mike will be bringing you that.
So the Sky Bet League 2 fixtures for this weekend, the first week of the season. Barrow are at home to Stevenage. Bolton Wanderers are at home to Forest Green. Bradford are at home to Colchester. Cambridge are at home to Carlisle. Cheltenham are at home to Morecambe. Mansfield are at home to Tranmere. Oldham are at home to Leyton Orient. Port Vale are at home to Crawley. Salford are at home to Exeter. Newport County travel to Scunthorpe. Southend are at home to Harrogate. And Walsall are at home to Grimsby. So who wants to start with that one? I'll hand it over to you, actually, Russ. Let's go through in order. So how do you think the games are going to go? Let's start with Barrow and Stevenage. What do you reckon with that one?
I think in that game, Mike, I think it'll be a close game. Barrow's just come up after so what Barrow can play like against Derby, a championship side. I think they'll give you a tough test, Mike. And I think Barrow may end up probably winning it or drawing this game with Stevenage. I don't think you'll win, Mike. I think you'll either get a draw or a narrow defeat in this one. I will say either 1-1 draw or a 1-0 to Barrow in this one, Mike. Sorry to say that with you being a Stevenage fan.
Okay, I'll have my opinion on that shortly, but let's bring Sean in. What do you reckon, Barrow Stevenage? How do you reckon that one's going to go?
Well, Barrow looks to test themselves in the first game in League 2, so they want to get off to a good start. But I think Stevenage might have a bit too much for them. You know what I mean? 'Cause it might be an end-to-end contest. You don't know how it's going to go on the first day of the season. You know what I mean? It's going to be like pre-match nerves and who's going to break who first.
Yeah. What about you, Ray? How do you reckon that one's going to go between Barrow and Stevenage, the newly promoted side, and the side that got the reprieve, of course?
It's going to be a tough one, with Stevenage bringing in some conference standard footballers who are now going to have to make the big, massive step up to League 2. But Alex Ravel and Lenny Lawrence will bring some great experience to Stevenage. So it's going to be a tough game. You've brought in Jamie Cumming from Chelsea, who is a very strong goalkeeper. I think he'll do well for Stevenage this season. And I would like to see Stevenage get off to a good start, but I also like to see a newly promoted team to the Football League do well as well. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. Okay, and before we move on, I'm just going to have a say on that one as well, being the fact that it's my hometown club. I think we started off all right, actually. When we played in the Carabao Cup against Portsmouth, I thought we played some good football, scored 2 early goals to go 2-0 up within, I think, about the first 10, 11 minutes. And I think, the attack was there, the attacking threat was there, and I'm sure Alex Ravel would have had them working on a few bits and pieces defensively. So I think we'll do all right in this one. I know Barrow have just got promotion. They'll have a lot of momentum behind them as well. But I can see us coming out on top here. And I'm going to go with a score of Barrow 1, Stevenage 2. Is going to be my prediction there. And, as Ryan said, we've got some good experienced players signing as well. Romain Vincelot and Ben Coker and Luke Prosser. Of course, we've got the young lads that are coming from non-league and on loan from higher up the footballing pyramid from Chelsea and Birmingham stuff as well. But yeah, I think we'll get the victory on the opening day and we'll go to Barrow and win 2-1. Let's go to Rye for the next one. And it's Bolton Wanderers home tie against Forest Green Rovers. What do you reckon on that? Yeah, Bolton are not looking too good. I mean, they brought in Anthony Sarcevic from Argyle, who got made captain as well. And they narrowly lost in the Carabao Cup game. And Forest Green, who have been in the league, this is their 3rd season as well, or 2nd season. So it's just good that they are actually looking good.
All right, so we'll move on to Russ to answer this one next. So how do you think it's going to go between Bolton and of course, their home game against Forest Green, which is, of course, on Saturday as well.
Yes, I think Bolton will want to look to bounce back after they got relegated last season down to the fourth tier of English football. I think Bolton will look to try and get back up for the first time of asking, and I think will start off quite well in this game, and I think Bolton may win advantage. Yes, there's no fans there, but I think when being at home, more know the surroundings a lot better than what Forest Green do. I think Bolton will get off to a win 2-0 in this one for me, Mike.
Okay, thanks for that, Russ. Sean, what's your predictions against between Bolton and Forest Green there?
Well, Bolton got relegated, so they want to get off to a flying start against the second shareholder in Hector Bellerin. So Bellerin will be keeping an eye on that result as well. So hopefully that Forest Green won't let him down. But I think Bolton might nick it. You know what I mean? I can see it go either way.
All right,
to be
and
honest.
my prediction on that one, I'm going to go 1-0 victory to Bolton. Next up, we'll go to Sean for this one, first of all. Bradford and Colchester.
Wow, that's near my hometown club, Bradford. They've been they want to be a good. They proved that they could be a Premiership side. So again, it could be like they could get up to a good start. But Colchester ain't an easy team to play against. I know there's some good things about them. So it'd be interesting to see who comes out with the win or draw. I'll go with 1-1 draw between them two because I can't call it.
All right, Ryan, quick prediction on that one.
Yeah, Colchester narrowly losing out to Exeter in the playoffs. Bradford, who had some good players as well. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Right, and we're not going to cover all of those games. We'll probably do one or two more. I want to get Harrogate's game in there as well. But yeah, what's your prediction for this one here between Bradford and Colchester, Russ?
I think Bradford will just edge in, Mike. 2-1 to the Bantams.
Okay, and I reckon I'm going to go 2-1 as well. So let's have a look. Is there any more that I want to cover other than the Harrogate one? Let's have a little look here. No, I think we'll actually just leave it with that one now. So Southend and Harrogate will be the last one of League Two that we're going to cover. Of course, there's loads of other games as well. And of course, we'll pick some different games out for next time. We'll try and include some different teams for next week. Just because we're not including you this time doesn't mean we're not going to include you in future times. It's only because Harrogate had just been promoted, Bolton had just been relegated, Barrow had just been promoted, Steamy's got the reprieve as well. And Bradford are probably going to be up there as one of the favourites, I think. And I think Colchester, will probably be around the playoffs as well, in my opinion. So that's why I chose those ones. But we'll start with you, Ryan. What do you reckon, Southend, Harrogate?
Well, Southend have got a good side. They've now got ex-Argyle, ex-Exeter City midfielder Mark Mosley as their manager. He's a good man. He got Weymouth promoted to the Vanarama National League. It's going to be a big test for him, but it's coming at the hands of Harrogate. I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 victory to Southend here.
Right. What about you, Sean? Southend against Harrogate, the newly promoted side against the newly relegated side.
Well, Southend want to prove from like last year from getting relegated because Sol Campbell didn't do they were in all sorts of trouble, to be honest with you. I think Harrogate wants to get off to a good start, so I think they might be surprised. I think Harrogate will go. I think 2-1 Harrogate for my prediction.
Right, that's a bold prediction there, Sean. What about you, Russ? Do you reckon you're going to stick with Harrogate as well, being a local side to Yorkshire? Do you reckon they'll be able to get it done?
I think they will, Mike. Well, I think they could end up getting a draw. But I think it'll be a draw in this one, and then hopefully get a win in the game next weekend. But I think it'll be a 1-1 draw between Southend and Harrogate this weekend. But hopefully Harrogate can get all 3 points.
Okay, and I'm going to just give out a quick prediction as well. I think Southend are going to win that 2-0. We'll do one more, and that's the Salford and Exeter game, because they're two teams that are going to probably be in the promotion places as well, whether that's automatic or via the playoffs. So let's go to Russ first of all on that one again. Salford and Exeter, this is the last one in League Two we're going to be doing. So what's your thoughts on that, Russ?
Salford to win 2-0.
Okay, and what about Sean? How do you think that's going to go? Salford and Exeter in that one, two sides that could actually be in the playoffs come the end of the season, maybe.
I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw between them because Exeter want to prove that they narrowly missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah, and what about you, Rai? Finally, before I just have a little, view on that myself as well, before we hand back to you to go into League One.
Yeah, so Exeter missed out on promotion to League One after a 4-0 defeat to Northampton. And I think Exeter want to get back to winning ways. Salford are a good, strong side. They've got James Wilson, the former Man U and Aberdeen striker. They've got good potential, and I think it's going to be a narrow game. And I honestly think Exeter are going to nick this, and I'm going to go 2-1 Exeter.
All right, and just a little prediction from me before we go into the League One section. I'm going to go 1-1. I think those two sides are going to be both up there. They'll both be in and around the playoffs this season. And I think it's going to be an opening day draw for those two. So this has been the League Two section now. I'm going to hand you back to Rai, who's going to do League One.
Yep, so League One coming up. So Sky Bet League One. The first game we'll talk about in Sky Bet League One. I've got one place to start, and it's Plymouth Argyle versus Blackpool. But I'm going to put this out to everyone else before I have my say, because this is my hometown team. So I'm going to come to you first, Sean.
Oh, wow. I mean, what a start for Plymouth to get a good team in Blackpool. I think it's going to be very tight. And I think I'm gonna say 1-0 Plymouth for the home win. I think Plymouth will win.
And to you, Russ.
I think it'd be a very tight game, like Sean says, right? And I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw with Blackpool taking the lead, Argyle equalising very late on to snatch a point.
Yep. And to you, Mike.
Yeah, so I think they're both pretty decent sides, really. I do think Argyle are going to win it, though. I think they're going to win this opening day fixture by 2-1.
And my thoughts on this after a short cartel to last season and beating QPR in the Carabao Cup. I think we've got a strong side. We've got Lewis McLeod, who played for Wigan in the Championship. We've got players that have played in Sky Bet League 2 as well. So I think we've got a good side. And I honestly think that Argo are going to win this. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory. The next game we're going to talk about will be Gillingham v Hull City. And I'm going to come to you first, Ross.
Right. This is going to be a tough game, right? All fans don't want Graham McCann in charge at the moment. Gillingham seem to be doing well under Steve Evans at the moment. Was back end of last season, play was curtailed in the cup so far this season. I can see them only being one win in this game, and I'm going to go for a Gillingham win by 2-0.
And to you, Mike.
Yeah, I think Steve Evans has been a really good appointment there for Gillingham, and I think I have to agree with Russ as well in terms of the result and the way it's going to go. I'm going to go Gillingham getting the victory by 3-1 this time out for me.
And to you, Sean?
Again, I don't fancy Hull winning this. I don't think they're going to be, up there for me into the promotions. I think they're going to struggle in League One. I think it'll be Hull. Who's the team they're playing again?
Hull City.
No, who's playing Hull City?
Gillingham.
I think 3-0 Gillingham.
And my thoughts on this is Gillingham have got a good manager in Steve Evans. I think that Hull want a bounce back to the Championship, but League One is a big step, and I honestly think that Gillingham are going to draw this game, and I'm going to go 1-1. The next game that we'll talk about it'll be Swindon versus Rochdale, and I'm going to come to you first, Sean.
Swindon, the promoted side versus they're going to be round to go to get off to a good start. I think Swindon might edge it, so I'm going to go 2-1.
And to you, Russ.
I think Swindon lost a few of the key players who were there last season, the likes of Jerry Yates. Owen Doyle's gone as well now, the two main strikers who were there last season. But I think Swindon could still win this game. Rochdale lost their main goal threat in Ian Henderson as well. I think it'll be 2-0 to Swindon in this game.
And then over to you, Mike.
Yeah, so in regards to this one, I think it's going to be, Russ did it there. They both lost players, and I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to, probably be all square.
And my thoughts on this is both teams are good enough to be in League One. I think Swindon are edge this, and I'm going to go 2-1 Swindon. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be Crewe v Charlton. So Crewe were promoted from League 2. Charlton were relegated from the Championship. And I'm going to chuck this out to Russ first.
Charlton were very unlucky to go down last season. I think they deserve to stay up. And Lee Boy is a good manager. I think he'll get the best out of him and bounce straight back up. Ben Purrington, another good defender, who they've still managed to keep there as well. I think it'll be a Charlton victory, 2-0.
We go over to Sean on his thoughts.
Oh, what can I say? Charlton got relegated last year, so they want to, like I said, get off to a flyer, and they want to get straight back up to the Championship. It's going to be a tough task, but I think Charlton might win 2-1. That's my prediction.
And to you, Mike.
Yeah, so it's Charlton. Who are they playing? Crewe, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the momentum with Crewe as the promoted side, Charlton are going to be struggling. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Crewe. I think, Crewe on the back of promotion. I can see them getting an early victory in this one, and going and getting the job done against Charlton on the back of their relegation.
Yeah, my thoughts on this: Crewe, good side, proved really good football last season. Charlton are a good side as well. Ben Purrington doing well at left back. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, I think, is fair reflection on this game. So the next game that we're going to talk about, and the final game that we'll talk about, is going to be Northampton v AFC Wimbledon. And we'll come to Sean first on this.
Or Northampton Town against AC Wimbledon. That's going to be a very tight game. I don't think. I think they'll both share the points. I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. So.
And to you, Mike?
Yeah, so I think, the momentum's going to be with Northampton. They were just promoted, weren't they? So I can see them getting a 2-0 victory this time out.
And to you, Russ? Russ?
I think Russ is froze. We might have to move on from this and then bring it back when he's able to get in again.
Okay, so that's everything from the Sky Bet League 1. So we'll move on to Sky Bet League 2, Sky Bet Championship. So,
Russ, if you're still there as well, just while you're putting that up on screen there, the Sky Bet Championship, if you're still there, Russ, and you can't get in, put your last prediction there of the Northampton AFC Wimbledon one. Just put it in the chat if you can't join, or we'll come back to you on that one. Should we get back to him on that quickly before we move on?
Yep, we'll come back to you, Russ, on that.
Sorry, guys, they just froze for me a moment. What game were you talking about, guys?
It's the Northampton versus AFC Wimbledon.
I think Northampton will just edge it 2-0. No, 2-0. 2-1, sorry.
Actually, I didn't even have my thoughts on this. Northampton had lost out to Callum Morton, who's now gone to Lincoln. It's going to be a tough one, I think, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 victory. I've never heard of them.
Well, now we'll go into Sky Bet Championship. And while we're at that, latest score in the leasing.com trophy, it is Salford 0, Manu under 21s 6, with goals from Mishbury, Pugnal, Martinez, Helm scoring 2, McCann and Alanga. So, moving back to the Sky Bet League, Sky Bet Championship, the first game that we'll talk about is on Friday, September the 11th. It's the start of the new season. It's Watford v Middlesbrough. And I'm going to come to Mike first on this one.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good game, actually, to start off the championship season. Two good sides there. Watford, who, of course, were relegated at the end of last season. And, of course, they want to bounce back at the earliest opportunity. And Middlesbrough, who, of course, another solid championship side who I'm sure will do well this season. It's tricky to look at this one. I think Watford have still kept hold of a lot of the players that were still there from the Premier League season. I don't think they've lost that many. I know Decore has gone to Everton, being the main one that they have lost, but I think they're the fact they're at home as well. Unfortunately for you, Ryan, I'm going to have to go 2-1 to Watford.
Yep. We'll go to Sean on this next.
It's going to be one of them games, isn't it? Difficult to predict because like Mike said, Watford just come down and they haven't lost all their players apart from Decore. So it's going to be one of them tight ones. But again, I think I'm going to stick with a 2-1 victory to Watford.
And to you, Russ.
Yes, I think it's going to be another victory for Watford. Like Mike and Sean says, they've not lost many of the players. Only Decore is really the main one that they've lost till we had last season. I think it's going to be a tough game for Middlesbrough. And I'm also going to go for Watford 2, Middlesbrough 1 in this one.
And my thoughts on this, we've not strengthened as well as we could have. We've only brought in Grant Hall to date. And I think Middlesbrough not strengthening could prove a downfall. Neil Warnock should bring out the best of the players. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Hopefully it's not a 1-1 draw, but to start the season, I'd be happy with a draw. So we'll now move on to Saturday, the 12th of September's games. And the first game we'll talk about on Saturday's games is going to be the Wycombe game against Rotherham. And Russ, we'll come to you on that one first.
Yes, as I mentioned, Gabe missing for Wycombe. That's going to be a big miss for Wycombe this weekend. Look good and they look good of the weekend actually against Brentford in the Carabao Cup. Rotherham, from what I've heard and from what I've read and from people I've spoken to, also look good. It'd be interesting to see how Rotherham do this. I think they've strengthened quite well enough to stay up in the division. Wycombe, I think they've fetched a few players in. They're missing the beast. Akin Fenway, though he's still out injured at the moment. I think Rotherham will edge it 2-1 to the Millers.
We'll come to you next, Mike.
Be good if I actually unmuted. But no, I think I'm with in agreement with Russ there. I think Rotherham will be the side to get the victory. Of course, Wycombe have just got the promotion as well. Akinfenwa is out. Gape is out as well. Two big players for them that are going to be missing. So I think Rotherham will get the victory in this one. I'm going to go 2-0.
And we'll come to you now, Sean.
Oh, Wycombe first time in the championship against Rotherham, first promoted against Rotherham. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be end-to-end stuff. But I understand why people want Rotherham to win. But I think Wycombe might win this one. I'm going to go with 2-1 win.
Yeah, both sides starting the new season against each other after promotion from League One. So it'd be nice for Wycombe to get off to a great start. It'd be also good for Rotherham to get off to a good start. But I also think that Rotherham are going to prove to be too strong for Wycombe. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Rotherham.
I just wanted to say something as well, because I know Russ is quite a big follower of Rotherham there. Do you know what the record were when they played each other last season in League One?
I know that Rotherham did very well with him last season. I think they drew. I think they might have won down there and got a point up in New York Stadium. I think I'm not 100% sure on that one, but Paul won. But what I do know is that Paul won, Richie Barker, Matt Amshaw, and the rest of the coaching staff. We've all looked at how Wycombe played at home throughout pre-season, watched last game and last game on repeat, working on tactics to beat them. And now there's a big gap in Earl in midfield with Dominic Gape not being there. They'll be looking to exploit that advantage this weekend, and I think one of them can do that.
Yeah, so the next game that we'll talk about will be Norwich v Huddersfield. We'll come to you first, Sean.
Norwich against Huddersfield. Oh, that's going to be another tough game between two clubs that are, that Norwich want to prove themselves from getting relegated from the Premier League because they didn't do well last season. The problems that Norwich have that they didn't do in the Premiership was score goals. So it's going to be a very tight game, but I think Norwich might nick it 2-1.
And to you, Russ?
I think it's going to be a close game, this one as well. I think Norwich will have too much for Huddersfield. I do hope Huddersfield have a good season, though. I know the Leeds' rivals, but Carlos Corberán, currently the head coach at Huddersfield, I think they'll have a good season at Huddersfield, but I think they'll go off to a losing start. Huddersfield 1, Norwich 2 for me in this one, right?
And to you, Mike?
Yeah, I think Norwich are going to get the victory as well. They're, not always great in the Premier League as has been shown, but they have actually got still a pretty decent squad for the Championship level. They've still kept hold of Max Aarons for the time being as well. Of course, he's a real up-and-coming talented player. Bundia as well. Todd Cantwell, of course, he'll be great at that level. And Timu Pukki, of course, as well, who is a prolific goal scorer and he's got a good record in Championship games. When they were playing Championship before, when they got promotion. So I do think Norwich are going to get the victory here. And I'm going to go Huddersfield 1, Norwich City 3.
Yeah, I've seen this before. Norwich, not the best in the Prem, in the Championship. They're always up and around the playoffs or even in the automatics. They've got Timu Pukki still. They got Max Aarons still. They brought in Ben Gibson from Burnley. It will strengthen their midfield, especially after having a whole season out, being out of favour at Burnley. So there's no way I could look anywhere past Norwich winning this. Norwich are a strong side, I think. So I'm going to go for a 4-0 victory to Norwich. The next game that we'll talk about is going to be the Bournemouth v Blackburn game. And I'm going to come to you first, Mike.
Yeah, I just had to remember that Bournemouth went down. That was a strange one because they were Premier League for a while. I think they've got, pretty much quite a solid squad. They have lost Nathan Ake and Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, but they've still got a few decent players in there. I'm not quite sure what they've done in terms of strengthening. I'm just going to have a little look now as well. But they have got a few players in there that have got Premier League experience. And I think that's going to be key for them. And I think they'll start with a win. I'm going to go 2-0 to Bournemouth.
To you, Russ.
I think Bournemouth may struggle this season. I think they'll go off to a winning start, but I think they may struggle. And the reason why I say they may struggle this season is because they've lost Eddie Howe, who's very good at this level when he's been in this level before, and Bournemouth go through this divisional. I think they're going to struggle this season, but I do think they'll go off to a positive start in this one with a 2-0 or a 2-1 victory in this one. I'm not sure. I think Blackburn may score later on, so 2-1 to the Cherries this season, but I think they'll miss Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser.
The penultimate game that we're going to talk about is going to be Derby v Reading. So we'll have Sean can talk about that, and if he didn't talk about the last game, he can have his say on that as well.
No, I didn't talk about the last game. It's going to be weird to see how Bournemouth do because, like everybody said, they got relegated and they just lost Callum Wilson to Newcastle. Ryan Fraser went on a 3 and all them lot. So Blackburn, are not an easy team to push around as well. So it's going to be a very tight game. I think Bournemouth might edge it 2-1 victory, and then we got Derby
Reading.
versus Reading. I think Derby might be a bit too strong for Reading in the terms of the squad they got. I think I'm going to go with a Derby 3-0 win.
And I'm sure that Nicole, who is a Derby fan, will be proud of Sean there for saying that. So we'll come to you next, Mike.
So it's Derby against Reading. I think that's going to be a decent game. As much as my heart's telling me I want to say Reading are going to win 9-0, just for banter, I think Derby will win 3-1.
And to you, Russ.
I think it'll be a close game. I think there'll be a goal in it. And I think it's going to be a victory for Derby, so Nick's going to like me. And I'm going to say it's going to be Derby 2, Reading 1 on Saturday, Nick. Good luck for the season.
My thoughts on Derby Reading. I think Derby, who missed out on the playoffs, brought in Wayne Rooney in January, and he's done well for them. But Reading, I don't see them doing that well. So I'm going to go for a Derby victory, and it's going to be Derby 3, Reading 0. The final game that we're going to talk about is going to be the QPR v Nottingham Forest. I'm going to have my say on this first. I think QPR are a strong side. Forest, who narrowly missed out on the final day of last season. They're a good side. I think Forest proved to be stronger, especially keeping Lewis Grabban. I think Lewis Grabban will get a goal in this game, and I honestly think that Lewis Grabban will probably score and Forest will win. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. And I'm going to come to you first, Sean.
Which game are we on?
We're on Nottingham Forest versus QPR.
Oh, flipping it. Forest narrowly missed out on the playoffs, and two very good sides in the Championship. I think, like you said, Lewis Grabban's going to score, and I think Forest will narrowly nick it 2-1.
And to you next, Mike.
So, yeah, I think that's going to be quite an interesting game as well. Two very decent sides there. And I know QPR, of course, got knocked out of the cup there against Plymouth as well. And Forest, yeah, you know, they narrowly missed out on the playoffs. Pretty much of their own, you know, downfall, their own sort of doing themselves, really. They kind of shot themselves in the foot, did Nottingham Forest. But I think it might be a stronger season for them this year. And I'm going to go QPR 1 and Nottingham Forest 2.
And to you, Russ.
I think it's going to be a tough game. Forest bottled it and did the Leeds on the final day of the season and bottled getting into the playoffs last season. I don't think they'll bounce back stronger this season, and I can see them getting off with a point in this first game. 1-1. QPR 1, Forest 1.
Yep, so that's everyone having their say on QPR v Forest. We'll now move on to the segment of the Premier League, which Mike's going to be bringing you.
Right, so we've got the Premier League back this weekend as well. And we've got some great fixtures to kickstart the Premier League campaign, starting with newly promoted Fulham hosting Arsenal. We've also got Crystal Palace Southampton at 3, Liverpool and Leeds at 5:30 on Saturday, and West Ham and Newcastle at 8 p.m. as well. And then on Sunday, we've got a double header between West Brom and Leicester, and Spurs and Everton, and another double header on Monday as well between Sheffield United and Wolves, and Brighton and Chelsea. Chelsea splashing the cash, of course, as we all know. So what do you reckon? We'll come to you first, Sean, in regards to the opener for Arsenal going to newly promoted Fulham.
It's going to be one of those like for 15 minutes, like it's going to be real tight, and then I think if we get the chances and Aubameyang scores the goals, I think we're going to be too strong for Fulham. So I'm going to go for Arsenal 4-0 win. I think we'll beat them.
Okay. What about, we'll go to Ryan next. What do you reckon, Fulham Arsenal?
Yeah, Arsenal brought back in Dani Ceballos on loan for the season last Friday, and I think that's actually a brilliant signing. He was quality for Arsenal in the lockdown, the games that were played behind closed doors. So I think Arsenal proved to be too strong. I mean, they've got Aubameyang, they've got Lacazette, Eddie Nketiah, Nicolas Pepe, Willian, who signed as well. So
yeah, Mesut Ozil's back as well, and he's possibly going to be featuring over the weekend.
So I think that Arsenal will win this, and I'm going to say a 3-0 victory to Arsenal.
Okay, so we've gone, Sean's got 4-0, Ryan's gone 3-0. What do you reckon, Russ? 2-0?
Mike, you must have made me mad because that's actually what I was going to say. 2-0 to Arsenal. I think it's going to be a fantastic performance from Arsenal. I think they'll be too strong for Fulham. They'll probably get an early goal through Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and then later on, he's going to be calling you, Mike. Eddie Nketiah. He's going to be calling you to say he's put Arsenal 3 points on the board with a 2-0 victory at Craven Cottage.
All right, so I'll make sure my phone's to hand then, just in case he does give me a bell when he scores that one. I'm going to go. I think we're going to absolutely. I like the way our squad's gone. I think whether we've got Leno or Martinez between the sticks, I think I'm comfortable with either. We've got Ceballos in there who complements Granit Xhaka really well, and Granit Xhaka performs a lot better because of having Dani Ceballos next to him. We've got Pepe, Willian, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Eddie Nketiah, all really good attacking options. And I think we'll do well actually. And I think we've gone 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. I'm going to have to put put it out there and say it's going to be Fulham 0, Arsenal 5 then, aren't I?
I thought you might have gone the traditional 1-0 to the Arsenal, Mike.
No, we'll score more than that. I think even Aubameyang might get a few. I think he could get a hat-trick maybe against Fulham. And of course, Lacazette's in there, Pepe as well, Willian. Yeah, I think we Fulham might actually get a bit of a rough time. I think we could actually really show them up and get a real convincing win. I'm going to go 5-0 Arsenal. Next game is the game between. We won't worry about that one too much. Should we do? There's only a few Premier League games. Should we get through them all, right, or should we just do the 3 or 4? Okay, that's fine, Sean. We'll go into this one anyway because I was going to talk about this one, and then we can jump back to the next one if need be. Russ can start us off. Liverpool, the title winners, against Leeds, the title winners of the Championship. So, how do you reckon Leeds are going to get on going to Anfield? Liverpool's start to trying to defend their title.
Every game for Leeds this season is going to be tough. I know that already. Playing against top 6 is going to be tough, but can pick up points against not so big at 6, not against the likes of. We'll probably lose against the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Tottenham, those sort of teams. But other teams we can pick off and get results from. I think it's going to be a tough game, but Liverpool always seem to drop off when they haven't got Jordan Henderson in the side, which they've looked, which they showed towards the end of last season when they were out injured, showed in the Carabao in the Community Shield. I going to say Carabao Cup against Arsenal, but Community Shield against Arsenal. So I think we could get to him. I think we could get a draw in this one. I think it could either be a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 to Liverpool. But I'm going to stick my neck out and say it's going to be a draw. I'm going to get off to a point and say a 1-1 draw between Liverpool and Leeds.
All right. It looks like Sean's going to have to leave us in a minute. So what do you reckon on that quickly before your phone dies? Liverpool Leeds. Give us a quick prediction.
Well, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, Premier League champions versus champions of Championship. I think Liverpool might have a bit too much for Leeds, so I'm going to go with a respectable 2-0 Liverpool
Okay,
win.
Ryan, what do you reckon? Liverpool and Leeds, the two, title winners.
Liverpool, strong side. They haven't strengthened as much as I thought they would have. Leeds, I've brought in Rodrigo, who, in my opinion, I don't think he's not going to be quality enough for the Premier League. But in all fairness, I think Liverpool will prove to be too strong for Leeds. Liverpool will win 3-0.
All right, Sean's just left us as well, so thanks for joining, Sean. He's just out and about at the moment, so he's on the bus, and we were going to lose him anyway, so he's had to shoot off. So thanks for joining in there, Sean, and giving your opinions and your thoughts. I think in regards to this one, I think Liverpool will win by 4-0. I think Leeds have done really well to be in the Premier League, and I think they will have better days, but I think Liverpool will absolutely show them up this time. And 4-0 victory to Liverpool for me. Tom Lilly in the chat has gone 3-0 victory to Liverpool as well. So thanks for that, Tom, and putting your thoughts there. You can put your prediction for Fulham Arsenal in the chat as well, because that's the only Premier League one we've covered so far, if you want to do that. Next game is the 3 p.m. game. We'll jump back. Crystal Palace, Southampton. What do you reckon? We'll go to you first, Ryan.
Yeah, Crystal Palace, they've kept Wilfred Zaha, so it's good keeping him. Southampton, they're going to be a good side this season as well, even though they lost Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to Spurs. I think Palace and Southampton will probably be a cagey game, and I'm thinking it's going to be a 2-2 draw.
Okay, before we go to you on that one, Tom's put in his prediction for Fulham Arsenal. He's gone Fulham 1, Arsenal 3 as well. And of course, if you want to, we've done League One already, but if you want to put in your opinion on what you think Plymouth, how they'll do as well, you can do that one. Just put that in the chat there. So what do you reckon in regards to the game here between Palace and Southampton, Russ? How do you reckon that one's going to go?
I think Palace may have too much for Southampton in this one, Mike. They've strengthened well with Biri Eze coming in as an attacking option, and I think him and Zaha will work well together. I know some people say they're similar sort of players, but I think if you have someone who's got similar qualities to you, they can take that much pressure off you, and they're not relying on you for their creativity and goals. I think Crystal Palace will be too strong, like I said. I think Eze will get a debut goal, and I think it'll be 2-1 to Palace this weekend at Selhurst Park.
Okay, and we'll do. There's only a few of these ones to get through. There's only 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and there's after this one, there's only 1 more. So there's only another 5. So we might as well just quickly run through them. I reckon it's going to be Palace 1, Southampton 1. Let's go to the next game, which is the 8 o'clock game. West Ham Newcastle. Let's go back to Russ first of all on that.
It's going to be a close game. Newcastle have done well in the transfer market, getting Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Jamal Lewis as well. They've also signed Jeff Hendrick as well, who I think is a decent signing. I think they're going to provide too much for the Amazon opening day. and Newcastle will win 3-0.
Okay, and before I come to Ryan, I'm going to quickly jump in with my prediction on this one. I think, as you say, Russ, Newcastle have strengthened and they're looking really good with some of the business that they've done in the window, and that's on the back of the takeover falling through as well. So I do think Newcastle are going to be strong. Of course, they've got some great attacking options as well. Saint Maximin being the main one there, who causes a lot of trouble for a lot of defences, and I think he'll do that to West Ham. I'm going to go West Ham 0, Newcastle 2. What do you reckon, Ryan, in regards to that?
I think Newcastle have done well, strengthened well in the areas that they needed to strengthen, bringing in Jamal Lewis, Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, who is a prolific goal scorer. I think they've done really well in that. And I think Callum Wilson's going to grab himself a couple goals here. So I'm going to go for a 4-0 victory to Newcastle.
Okay, we've got one here from Sean as well. He's predicted Newcastle to win 3-0 over West Ham. What do you reckon, Sean? Just put in your prediction there for... you did Leeds and Liverpool, didn't you? Put in the prediction for Palace Southampton as well if you want to. Let's jump to Sunday. And we'll go to Rye, first of all, on Leicester's trip to West Brom.
Yeah, Leicester not strengthened as much. They are looking to use some of the youth prospect. And West Brom getting promoted from the Championship. I think Leicester proved to be too strong for West Brom, who have had great starts to the season sometimes. But I think Leicester will win this, and I think it'll be a 3-1 victory to Leicester.
I think I'll have to agree. Leicester have got a fairly decent side. They haven't really lost too many players. I know they've still got Jamie Vardy there. And of course, he's always a goal poacher. Tom's put in there, he's gone 2-0 to Leicester against West Brom. He's also got Newcastle 1, West Ham 0 as well. And jumping back into League One, being the fact he's an Argyle fan, he's gone Blackpool and Argyle to draw 1-1. So what do you reckon, Russ, with West Brom and Leicester?
I think it'd be a tough game for West Brom. First game back up. They've just got Callum Robinson back tonight, and when they announced his squad number, they put CR7 as well, because he's got the number 7 share this season. But I think it'll be a tough ask for West Brom to get something from the opening game at the Hawthorns. Let's not have too much. And I think it'll be West Brom 0, Leicester City 2, like Tom said as well. And I just want to say good evening to Kieran Riley, who's joined us this evening. Evening, Kieran. Hopefully you're all right, my friend.
Yeah, hopefully you can maybe join us for one of these in the future, Kieran, as well. I know we're going to be wrapping things up ever so shortly, probably in around about half an hour tonight. So I don't know whether you'll be able to get on tonight, but for maybe next week or something, we could get you on for the third episode we do to talk about your side Wolves and stuff as well, and how they're going to get on. And in regards to this one, I think it's going to be West Brom 1, Leicester 3 as a score prediction. Let's go to the 4:30 game on Sunday now. And another side that has strengthened pretty well is Everton, and they go to Spurs. So let's go back to Russ first of all on Ancelotti against Mourinho.
I think Mourinho's going to find it tough here, especially after Ancelotti has strengthened the last few days with the Brazilian Alan Decore today, James Rodriguez the other day as well. I think James Rodriguez will probably start in this game and probably score as well. I think it'll be a very tough game for Spurs. I think it'll be Tottenham 1, Everton 3, with James possibly getting 2 of the 3 goals.
Okay, we'll just come to you next, Ryan, on that.
Yeah, I think Everton have strengthened really well. They've kept hold of Richarlison as well. Tottenham have brought in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Southampton. As I said, I think that Everton have proved to be too strong for Tottenham, I think. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Everton.
And of course, Spurs have strengthened there with Matt Doherty is another name that they brought in as well. Tom's gone Spurs 3, Everton 3. And the fact I'm an Arsenal fan, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to go Spurs 3, Everton 2. I think Spurs will nick it. I think maybe a Harry Kane winner for the North London side there. Then let's go to the two games that take place on Monday. So we've got one at 6 p.m. between Sheffield United and Wolves. Two sides that really had a great season last season, didn't they, fellas? And we'll go back to Ryan first of all. How do you reckon it's going to go down at Bramall Lane?
Well, Sheffield United have signed Oliver Berkey from West Brom today, and I think he might get chucked straight in the deep end in this game. And I think that Sheffield United are a good side. Wolves are a very good side as well, just missing out on European football this season. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Wolves.
Which is the same as what Kieran Riley, Wolves supporter, has done there as well. What about you, Russ? Are you in agreement with those two, or you got something a little bit different up your sleeve?
I may have something a bit different up my sleeve. Maybe just have a quick check. I've got something a bit different on my sleeve. I think Wolves will win, and if I'm just looking at the signings that both teams who have, they've strengthened in this summer. Wolves, Fabio Silva from what I read, Porto fans are laughing at the price they've paid for that. Fernando Marcal as well, coming in from Lyon. Two signings there, but they've lost Doherty from who were there last season, who've really featured quite a bit, and they've lost a few others who've not really featured much. As for Sheffield United, they've strengthened quite well. Especially Ramsdale, a good goalkeeper. Foderingham, a decent backup goalkeeper. Bogle and Lowe, decent full-back options to have on the bench. Ampadu, a decent midfielder to have on the bench. But they've lost like Lou Freeman, who was in and around the team last season. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's going to be in this game at Molineux. No, it's at Bramall Lane, should I say. At Bramall Lane, Sheffield United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. So
Okay,
with Tom Lilly.
Same as Tom. Tom's put in a 1-1 there as well. Kieran there, the Porto fans are fuming that Wolves have signed their A team. And I think the Wolves A team there are going to get the victory. I think they'll get the job done. I'm going to go Sheffield United 0, Wolves 1. And then the final game that we're going to talk about is the last one of the Premier League. And it is Brighton and Hove Albion at home to Chelsea. And of course, Chelsea has strengthened loads as well in this window, with the signings of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell as well, and loads of others. There's a whole plethora of new signings that they've got in over at Stamford Bridge. So what about you, Russ? How do you reckon Chelsea will get on the opening day, or the opening weekend, I should say?
Well, I think Chelsea will win, and I hope they do win as well after the way Brighton treated Leeds over Ben White, saying they were going to sell, saying we could have him, and then saying we couldn't have him. But Chelsea, look at what they've done. They've strengthened quite well. They've fetched Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech as well, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, Xavier Mbaya, and Kai Havertz as well. I think Havertz, Ziyech and Werner will all play a part this weekend. I think Silva may get a game, depending on how Rudiger and Christensen are in that one. So I think they'll play some part in this one. Brighton not really fetched in defensive options really, other than Adam Lallana, so they're worried about conceding quite a lot of goals this season. I can see it being a nice scoring game, and I think Chelsea will romp, in the words of Adam Forshaw, will romp it, mate, in this game. It'll be Brighton 0, Chelsea 5.
Okay, and what about you, Roy? How do you reckon Chelsea will get on Monday?
Timo Werner, a prolific goal scorer. Kai Havertz and Hakim Ziyech, very great assisters and will chip in with goals as well. Thiago Silva, who could start the if they all gel together really well, with Ben Chilwell at left back as well, it could be a very good game of football for Chelsea. So Chelsea are gonna score goals, and I'm thinking it's going to be 6-0 Chelsea.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. We got 4-0 from Tom there as well. Kieran's gone 3-1, so he's the only one that said that Brighton are going to score a goal so far. And I think I might be in agreement with Kieran that Brighton might get one. So I'm going to go Brighton 1, Chelsea 4. And that wraps up the fixtures for the Premier League, of course, with Burnley and Man U and Man City and Aston Villa both postponed for the first week. So hopefully, they'll be in action in the near future. I think they take place in week 2. I think they're both playing in week 2. Let's have a look here. I think they are. Yeah, they are. They both got games in week 2. So we'll cover them in week 2 a little bit. But yeah, that's the Premier League. And of course, we've gone all the way through League 2 and to the Premier League now. And I'll hand you back to Rye. So, okay, we'll hand you back to Rye now for the next part.
Yep, the next part is their wrapping up time. So I'd also like to say thank you very much to Mike for taking over Sky Bet League 2 and the Premier League. We've got Russ, who's come in and give his thoughts. We've had Sean that's give his thoughts. We've had Kieran, Riley, Tom. There's everyone else. We'd just like to say thank you very much for taking part. And you can also find us on Spotify, where after this episode is downloaded and uploaded to Anchor, it'll be out on Mixcloud, Anchor, Spotify, Podcast Masters, and Audio Breakers, I think it is as well, that the podcast goes out onto. And we'll now end it there. And Mike's just going to speak about his interview that he's got lined up tomorrow.
Yeah, so as you're aware, I'm doing the SFC interviews with former Stevenage FC players. Spoke to Mark Westhead earlier today before coming on, former Stevenage goalkeeper. And I've got former Stevenage striker Darren Stamp coming on at 3 p.m. tomorrow as well for episode 35 of the interviews there. So, as I said before, we're getting through them. And, lots of great, insightful chats as well with all the ex-players that have said yes to it so far. There's only been 1 or 2 that have declined the offer. So, it's great to get the majority of them on and to chat to the majority of those players. And, of course, that goes across the Twitter page, SFC Interviews, and on Facebook as well. We've got a page and also a direct profile that you can go to, as well as it going out onto my own stuff, my own, Facebook and that as well. So that's going to be 3 p.m. tomorrow for that one. And, of course, we'll be back here doing another one of these podcasts next Wednesday as well from 8 p.m. And I'm sure I would have done probably another few more interviews between now and then too. So keep an eye out across social media for any of them.
So thank you very much for joining and good night.